Hello everyone, Insanity is Good here, and welcome back to Umineko no Naku Koro ni. And with me as always is the lovely Kit.
Hello, everyone. Happy Juneteenth and all that good jazz.
Okay, yeah, so this is a bit different. We're actually streaming this on Twitch. Or not Twitch, I'm sorry, Discord. God, I'm so used to saying Twitch. Actually streaming on Discord. So, if you're not part of the Discord, then you're watching this on YouTube. So, hello,
And if
YouTube.
you're watching this on YouTube, you need to join Insanity's Patreon so that way you can get hipped up on our Discord so that way you can get all the best news when we do them now. So
Yes.
What are you waiting for?
Yes, because that's how you get to talk to all the other cool people. Alright. We're going to...
This is the moment you were most excited for, weren't you?
I'm excited for what happens after this. I forgot that there was this chapter. Because I thought the last chapter we did kept going and then ended, and then the chapter I was looking forward to started. So I completely forgot that there was this chapter between the two. So that's why last week I was like, I kind of want to keep going, but it's okay. I know it's late for you, so okay.
We were safe for another day, and we're safe for another day now.
Yeah, basically. But
next week.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? This chapter may be half whatever is about to happen, and then half what I'm looking forward to. So we'll see. Like I said, I haven't read this in a while. I remember most of it, but there's some details that I don't remember off the top of my head. So hi, Rox. It's good to see you as always.
Hello.
I think we've got. Let me see here. Oh, there is a text. Oh my God, McAfee, stop! Seriously. There is, in the voice channel on the Discord, there is a text-only voice chat channel, so if you guys want to talk in there while we do this, you could go ahead and do that. So, anyways, okay, let's get started. Oh, and if you remember, Shannon got the question popped to her, and she is all sorts of flustered, and it's fucking adorable! Ah! So romantic. Okay.
I have big fear for her future, though.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Rox is like, ah! Okay. Alright. Shannon entered the entrance hall to the mansion with a tottering gait. A mixture of exultation and uncertainty gave her a feeling that she couldn't easily describe. It swelled up in her chest until it felt like she was about to burst.
That's called happiness, lady!
Yup. After stopping for a second in front of the servant room to take a deep breath to calm her heart, she opened the door. I quit, I wish, is what she would say, but... Inside, Gohda, who had been ordered to take the midnight shift at the mansion tonight, was absorbed in a worn-out crossword puzzle magazine. He looked up for an instant to see if one of the family had come, but when he realized it was a fellow servant, he turned to his puzzle as if nothing had happened.
Yeah, really sharp, just really sharp right there, Gohda. Very nice.
Genji-sama told me to come and help you.
Ah, is that so? That's a relief. I was just about to go check that the mansion was fully locked up, but I felt uneasy about leaving this room unmanned. You can see that I'm a dirty liar.
Mm-hmm.
After all, Krauss and the others' meeting looks as though it will continue for quite some time. They might request some tea at any moment.
That's true. Then, what shall we do? Should I wash over?
In that case, forgive me, Shannon-san, but I'll ask that you patrol the mansion. I will stay here awaiting the family's orders. He really wants to suck up to the family, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Shannon was slightly disgusted. Even though
Good.
even though she'd come here to help out as a favor, she was casually being forced to do the job of the person actually on duty. God, I feel her so much right now. Like, okay, so, little tangent here. The old AM that we had at my store, she would push the shit that she was supposed to get done on me all the time. So I was doing two people's work, but she was getting paid way more than me. And this continued on for like a couple of years until when we got our new district manager. I guess he found out about it and she got fired. So, and I got a raise. So yeah.
All good things come to an end then. But really, there are too many people out there who will push the work from one person onto another just because they don't want to do the work. That is so stupid and messed up. Like, really now, why do you even have a job in the first place if you don't want to do the work?
Exactly.
Just stay at home. If you don't want to do the work, then just go home. Quit.
Or find a different job. Furthermore, after one-sidedly forcing that task on her, Gohda returned to his magazine once again and became immersed in his crossword puzzle. Ah! God, I hate him so much.
His intelligence must be well matched by that crossword puzzle then.
Right? Shannon bowed her head as a token sign of respect for her elder, then left the room to patrol the mansion. Thanks to her being a bit ticked off, she managed to suppress that floaty feeling she'd been having until just now. In any way, she couldn't let Genji or Kenneth see her looking like this. She wanted a little time to herself until her heart calmed down, so maybe going on patrol wouldn't be so bad. She began to hear the tumultuous voices of the family discussion coming from the dining hall. Someone was speaking at great length, only to be interrupted by someone else. The second person also began to speak in a very long, drawn-out fashion until yet another person interrupted. That kept on repeating. It was as though their displeasure was seeping out through their voices. She had been told to go to the guest house, so it would be bad if Krauss discovered her. Thinking this, Shannon dashed past the dining hall. Then she went along a prearranged route through the dark mansion, checking that all the locks were secure. She walked down the hall, checking each window. There were no humans on Rakanjima other than those connected to the family, so locking up didn't really serve much of a purpose. No one had been in the habit of locking up at the Shiromiya head family, at least not until Natsui had scolded them for being careless. The metal fixtures on the windows were ice cold, and as she checked them one by one, the glow in her heart seemed to cool down.
I'm sorry, I'm excited.
At that time, she thought she saw something twinkling across the hall. I'm sorry, my grin is probably showing through my voice and this is supposed to be creepy. I'm so sorry, give me a second here.
No, keep going. This is a moment of excitement now. Because something's finally happening.
Twinkling? How could anything be twinkling through the darkness of the hall? She figured she must have been imagining it, but she still held her breath. Grasping a curtain, she fearfully gazed down the hall. However, other than the occasional crack of thunder brightening the hallway, she was unable to glimpse any flicker again. It must have been her imagination after all. Maybe her heart was so agitated that she'd seen something that didn't even exist. Shannon went back to checking the windows. However, a certain unnerving memory was resurrected in the back of her mind. It was that ghost story, which had been passed down amongst the servants who served the Ushiromiya head family. The mansion had two different masters, one of the day and one of the night. Beatrice, the master of the night, would sometimes fly around the mansion in the form of sparkling butterflies. That was the story. Come to think of it, didn't Canon-kun once say he'd seen it with his own eyes? Though he got sulky when I said he must have imagined it and refused to believe him. Could it possibly be true? The roar of the thunder gave no answer.
That's as much of an answer as you can get. That means yes. They call this a typhoon, right? This is a typhoon now.
this is
It's not just.
Yeah, this is a typhoon, so it's like, I don't know if you've ever been in like a hurricane. Well, the typhoons are a bit different than a hurricane, and it's different than a monsoon as well.
It's just varying degrees of rain. I swear, if that picture becomes ripped in the next moment, I'm going to scream and just leave.
Oh, don't, I need you.
You just need someone to do the voices, that's it.
No. So there's all the adults.
Where's all the kids?
The guest house. Remember?
I remember, it's just like,
Yeah.
there's Shannon.
There's Shannon. There's Gohda. Doing his goddamn crossword puzzle. And
You
Cannon.
lazy layabout son of a...
And Ganon and Kenji. Or Genji. Kubasawa sleeping. Nanjo's probably sleeping somewhere too. Kenzo, you crazy motherfucker.
Getting high on abstantine.
Right. Getting drunk on absinthe, like. Oh, I got an achievement. Yes, midnight.
Oh. It's happening!
Oh, see, we could have kept going last week.
Because it was just so short.
Because that was so short. Yeah, no, we're gonna keep going. That was way too short.
Yep, here we go.
6 a.m.
See what happens. Oh god, here we go.
Okay, quick.
Everyone gird your loins, it's time for fear.
The second day, October 5th, 1986. Okay. Sorry, I need a drink of my peach tea. Alright. Genji tightened his bow tie and looked outside through a crack in the curtains. Maybe the rain had died down a tiny bit since the previous night. But the thick rain clouds didn't seem like they'd be letting any trace of the morning sun get by. The morning was dim and far from refreshing.
It seems it will last all day after all. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Genji-sama.
Cannon finished checking his appearance and exited the washroom. On their normal schedule, it was rare for anyone to have to suffer going straight from a midnight shift to an early morning shift. They were on a special schedule for the 2 days of the family conference. However, unless the typhoon passed today, the relative stay on this island would last until tomorrow. Cannon thought it best to be prepared for the special schedule to last an extra day.
I love his little hat. I love Cannon's hat. It's just so cute.
The two of them left the guest house, opening their umbrellas. The rose garden had been devastated by the wind and rain on the previous night. Even though they'd spent several days making it beautiful to welcome the guests, one stormy night was enough to ruin it. Cannon sighed. The two headed for the mansion. They were supposed to meet up with Gohda and prepare breakfast. Gohda was such a perfectionist that he had probably already woken up and was probably already preparing a breakfast as exquisite and elegant as glasswork.
Now see, there's a difference. He's not a perfectionist. He's a brown noser. He's a bootlicker. There's a difference. If he was a perfectionist, he would have made it himself. He's a brown noser. He wants someone else to make it as specifically as he wants it to be.
They reached the overhang by the entrance to the mansion and folded up their umbrellas. Genji took a bundle of several keys from his pocket and unlocked the front door. The Ushiramiya family mansion was the only thing on Rockinjima, so in the past they hadn't been in the habit of locking up. However, Natsui had ordered that the mansion be locked up from midnight to early morning. That's important.
That was beautiful.
That's
That was
that's important. What that last line, that's important. Keep that in mind.
so from midnight to early morning. Who else has the keys? I know Genji.
We don't know yet.
Okay, so Genji right now is the only person who has the keys, and it's always locked up from midnight to early morning. Got
Yes.
it. Someone make
Yes.
note of that.
Ever since then, unlocking the door in the early morning had become part of the servants' morning shift. GLaDOS, is this a visual novel or a kinetic novel? I don't remember you ever making a decision. It's... you only get to make a decision till the very, very end of the last answer arc. The When They Cry series is mostly... people like to call it a sound novel because the music is so good. But with Ryukishi's writing, there isn't really decision, so it's not like an otome or something like that. Since Steam has it categorized as a visual novel, that's what I call it. But yeah, it's my favorite, even though there's like no choices. But yeah, the story's just so good. Okay. This task had been given to Genji and Canon so that Gohda could start preparing breakfast as soon as he woke up. Silence had fallen in the mansion, giving the impression that the mansion itself was still asleep.
There we go. Here we go again. Well, then, let us begin the morning chore. Oh, geez. I thought we went past this, but I guess not. Yes, sir.
The two of them split up and began opening the curtains throughout the mansion. If the curtains stayed closed, the mansion would remain enveloped in faint darkness, as though it was still trapped in the previous night. Following a well-rehearsed procedure, Cannon went around the mansion, opening the curtains for one window after another without having to retrace his steps once. Even with this horrible weather, drawing the curtains made it feel just a little bit like morning. While doing that, he passed in front of the kitchen. Even though he hadn't smelled anything yet, his stomach started aching for some of Gohda's prized cooking.
Aww. Good morning.
He tried to greet Gohda, who should have been getting breakfast ready, but Gohda was nowhere to be seen. The kitchen was darkly lit, and not only were the curtains not open, but the fan wasn't even running. It was still cold, without any trace of a fire being lit, so of course there were no signs of breakfast being made either. Though it would have been inexcusable, perhaps Gohda had overslept. Even servants are only human. They sometimes sleep in and show up late. In the rare case that such a thing happens, it's part of a servant's code to hide the unsightly scene before anyone notices, smoothly cover it up, and make sure the family never even realizes that anything has gone wrong. Cannon took the receiver of the phone that had been fitted to the wall and dialed the number for the extension line in the servant's sleeping room. He couldn't hear that characteristic sound of a dial tone.
We've been cut off.
Cannon tried picking up the receiver again, but even so, he couldn't hear the usual dial tone. He tried dialing again, but it had no apparent effect. Could the lightning last night have damaged some machine, breaking the extension line? The equipment in this mansion was all worn out. Cannon fully understood that even the smallest thing could have caused it to break down. He gave up trying to wake Gohda with the phone and dashed over to the servant's sleeping room.
All right. Taking all bets. Taking all bets.
Oh wait. I think this is Natsuhi.
Well, let me wait for it to load up and then...
Is it still lagging for you?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I think it might be my internet this time. I'm not really sure. Because it worked fine last time. Like, it worked fine in the beginning, but I guess
Yeah.
it's just me. How long has it been since I stopped sleeping and started lazily staring up at the ceiling? That vague sense of awakening was a part of Natsuhi's usual morning experience. There we go.
Yep, it was. It is Natsui. Okay. She always slept lightly, and she couldn't sleep at all without medicine. To Natsuhi, sleep was definitely not a happy thing. When she looked outside, she saw that it was still pouring. If she hadn't sensed a tiny amount of light, she might have mistakenly thought that it was still the previous night. She herself was one of the hosts, so she mustn't wake up later than her guests. Urging herself on, she raised up her body, which still hadn't completely recovered from yesterday's weariness.
Aww.
No one would torment her as long as she remained inside this room, and her headache wouldn't get any worse here. This room was the only place she could find peace. So once she left, it meant returning to the world where her husband's siblings kept trying to stab each other in the back. In that case, wouldn't it be better to just stay locked up in this room forever? That ridiculous notion brought a bitter smile to Natsui's face.
Sweetheart, that's not a bittersweet, that's a mood. That is a mood.
She was starting to sound like Kinzo. Though she often complained about Kinzo staying locked up in his own room and refusing to attend to everyone else, the truth was that she longed to do the same. Natsui gave her head a small shake, and her fantasy was replaced by the reawakening of her usual headache. Should probably go see a doctor about that.
I mean, yeah, that's much of a migraine at this point compared with, like, including insomnia, so yeah.
Yeah. When she reached for the doorknob trying to leave the room, her hand touched the scorpion charm that she had hung from it before going to sleep the previous night.
Again, aw.
It was Maria's charm, which Natsui had received from Jessica. Didn't Jessica say something about it having the power to repel magic, telling her to hang it from her doorknob? Maybe it was thanks to the charm that at least this room had been protected from the malice of her husband's siblings. As she thought this, her mood began to get a little more cheerful.
I wonder if I have Jessica to thank for the little bit of peaceful sleep I managed to receive.
Then Natsui remembered.
That's right. Last night, I promised Jessica that I'd give her a charm of my own in exchange for this one, didn't I?
Natsui opened a drawer on her dresser and took out an antique accessory case that she had treasured when she was a child. Inside, there were many small objects that Natsui had thought were valuable at the time. From amidst those, she pulled out a red pouch. Inside was a small round mirror about 10 centimeters across. It looked quite old, but the design on the back of the mirror was very ornate, and it felt like something with historical value. At the very least, it seemed much more authentic than the other charm, which looked like a plastic scorpion keychain. She had heard that this was a spiritual mirror for warding off evil spirits, and she had been given it specially by her grandmother when her grandfather's mementos had been distributed. It had been believed since long ago that a strange power resided in this mirror. Perhaps people thought it could reflect calamity and malice in the same way it reflected light. Natsui returned the mirror to its pouch. It would probably be a fitting object to hand over to Jessica. Just as she was placing it in her pocket, the sound of someone knocking on the door suddenly echoed throughout the room.
Yes? Good morning, madam. It is Genji. My apologies for waking you so early. I'm coming now. What is it?
No servant had ever come to her this early in the morning, nor had they come to wake her in person. Perhaps something bad had happened. Maybe some fatal oversight had been made while preparing breakfast, something that would shame the household in front of their guests. Natsui took a deep breath in anticipation for whatever troubles she was about to hear of. When she opened the door...
God, that door creak! That's a good-ass door creak! Sorry.
It's okay. When she opened the door, Genji once again gave a morning greeting while bowing deeply. Natsui tentatively responded.
morning. Did something happen? My apologies. It would seem that the telephones have broken down due to lightning last night. The extension telephone isn't working, so please forgive my coming to see you directly. The extension telephone isn't working? That will be troublesome. Will it be possible to fix it? I am afraid we don't know the location of the damage. Later on, I would like to call in an expert and have him repair it. So, we're on an island trying to solve a puzzle that has people killing each other for some gold.
Well, no one's dead. No one's dead yet.
Yet. We're trapped here with a supposed ghost.
Which?
Stuck in a typhoon. Ghost witch. Stuck in a typhoon. Yes. Stuck in a typhoon. And now we're cut off from anyone outside of the island.
I mean, they'd be cut off from people outside the island regardless because of the typhoon, so.
I mean, still, we're now. They're now literally stuck from contacting outside of the island.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't get it fixed until the typhoon passes. Everyone, please take notes. This is how you do a horror story. This is how you lead into a horror story. This is how you set the mood. Good. Because this is how you set the MFing mood. Does that mean we'll be unable to have it repaired until after the typhoon passes? Then it will remain broken down for the duration of our guest's stay. Will that hamper our efforts to take care of our guests? We will do all we can to ensure there are no problems. That's good. If this is influencing it, then that's very good. Very well. I'm counting on you to make sure we have no blunders.
Natsui let out a small sigh of relief. She had been prepared for the worst, but damage to the telephones wasn't the kind of trouble she was worried about. Then again, even this would probably be enough to spark sarcasm from Ava. Natsui gave her head a light shake.
I feel like anything could set off like a cynical and sarcastic comment from Ava. Like just she's like the grandmother you can't make happy. Like she's the mother-in-law you can never make happy.
No, she's a Karen is what she is.
She's a ginger-haired Karen. That's it. She's a ginger-haired Karen who's... Whoa, something happened.
What?
I can't see. Like, really, I can't see the game.
Hold
on. What's that?
I think that's on your end. Because I've just pulled up Discord. It's still going.
Not going on mine. Hold on a minute. Let's see here.
This horror content is influencing my own work. Oh, I'm glad, Rox, because I'm a horror junkie. I'm such a junkie for it.
It's the rarity and the fact that I am doing a horror.
I do get to play it eventually. I'm looking forward to it very much so.
There we go. Huzzahs all around. I got it working again.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay. Going back into it. Are the preparations for breakfast proceeding well? Well, as to that, we haven't been able to find Gohda. I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. The arrangements for breakfast have yet to be carried out. What did you say?
Natsui was indignant. To her, this was a much bigger problem than the phone's not working. And despite
I mean, sure.
and despite that, this piece of information was the part that had been postponed. Why did everything go well most of the time, and then come to something like this when the relatives were visiting? Natsui put her hand to her forehead and shook her head.
Well, I suppose he slept in. At any rate, just see to it that someone hurries up and prepares breakfast. I don't care who. What?
Natsui exited into the hall and turned around for a second to close the door to her room.
I'm sorry. It's just like, something's happening. Something's finally happening. Yes.
The creepy thing she saw there silenced her completely. It was an unpleasant sight, as though someone had dipped their fingers in a reddish-black liquid and scratched at the door around the doorknob. It was probably some sort of awful prank, arranged by some person who wanted to make it look as though they tried to force the door with bloody hands.
That's because they did.
What sort of prank is this? How awful.
I also just noticed it as I came to call you, and you didn't think to mention that first. Right. I will clean it later.
Perhaps this is a vulgar joke by one of the guests. Disgusting. Truly disgusting.
Who in the world would pull such a childish and disgusting prank? Natsui had a pretty good idea, but of course there was no proof of Ava, so even if she pushed the issue, it would just seem as though she was making a fuss about nothing. In fact, it would surely be better to act as though she hadn't even realized that such a prank had been played on her.
Pretty early for a Halloween prank, guys. I know practice is important, but really now, this is a waste of good fake blood.
Natsui gave the it is October. Natsui gave the order to have it cleaned and headed off to the parlor with a squeak of her heels. When Natsui and Genji arrived in the parlor, Ava and Hideyoshi were already there. Also, there they are.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Natsui-san. I heard Gohda-san would be making us breakfast too. My stomach's been getting all excited since I woke up. After all, it seems food is all you can look forward to at the head family household. God, she's such a bitch.
I'm pleased to see that you too are in high spirits so early in the morning, Eva-san.
With a weary expression, Natsui returned Ava's gaze, which was fiercely competitive despite the early hour. Then Kennen jogged in. After bowing an apology to the relatives for running inside the mansion, he noticed Genji and told him something in a small voice.
Kennen, have you still not found Gohda? My apologies, madam. I went all over the inside of the mansion and the guest house, but I still haven't found him. What in the world has he gone? At any rate, Breakfast is a higher priority than finding Gohda-san right now.
Oh, I think you'll find him soon. He'll turn up just in time for breakfast. I feel like I'm guessing all the right things right now, and if I am, I must use this power for evil in this game.
See to it immediately.
Yes.
Kennen glanced at Genji. It seemed he had something else to report, but was uncertain whether or not the words should come from him. Genji nodded and decided to give the report himself.
Madam, it is not only Gohda. Your husband is also nowhere to be found. Oh! Oh! I'm not sorry. I'm getting excited. There's 2 potential deaths in this house. Something good is going to happen right now. Something fabulous is happening right now. Can we get a rip? Can we get an F in chat, please? Just an F in chat for these poor souls. Okay. I'm sorry.
My husband!
Yes. Even before visiting you, I went. Breakfast wasn't being prepared, but I did not find him there. Furthermore, he is not the only one missing. Oh, we got a third one! Oh! We have 5 people missing now! I shouldn't be excited about this! I shouldn't! Something's wrong with me! Rudolf-sama, his wife, and Rosa-sama are nowhere to be found.
Not in the guest house? Nor the mansion?
Yes.
They were not in their rooms in the guest house either.
When she'd heard that Gohda alone was missing, she'd assumed he had slept in or was left being around somewhere. However, now that she'd learned that several of the relatives were also nowhere to be seen, she began to take a slightly more optimistic view. Could last night's family conference have continued all night up until the present moment? If so, they might have wanted to cool their heads after being shut in a stuffy room, going out for walks on their own through the rain. The part about cooling their heads really sounded like something Krauss would say. Gohda had probably been summoned to accompany them and aid them in some way. Gohda was not a man who lost track of time. He had to understand that preparations for breakfast would be hindered if he did not return. However, maybe the family conference had continued until this very moment, with an atmosphere that would make it hard for anyone to slip out. Yes, that theory would be quite convincing for Natsui. She remembered the illusion she'd felt that morning, as though the previous night had never ended. When she learned that the feeling wasn't just an illusion, she once again took a deep, wary breath. After all, that banquet of filthy vultures circling Kinzo's property was still going on.
I want to take attention for one thing for a second. GK made the best thing ever in chat. So, for the duration of this entire chapter, the theme song of this chapter is just "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
I actually really like that song, but I'm a metalhead, so I mean, I'm down with it.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps they are still discussing the inheritance somewhere in the garden, or maybe the beach. At any rate, if we don't call Gohda back, we'll never be able to prepare preparations for breakfast.
So what are you saying? Are Nissan and the rest still continuing their discussion? She had planned to say it in a small voice, but Hideyoshi overheard Natsui and managed to grasp the situation. Nissan and Rudolf sure are tough. Maybe it's just youth in Rosa's case? Just a bit after midnight, the two of us were so tired that we headed back to bed. Though I do remember that Nissan and the rest were still having a heated discussion at that point. Men certainly are unpleasant when they get all fired up. Natsui snorted, her face still blank.
How can you do that? You need facial muscles to even snort.
Cannon, search outside. If you find Gohda, tell him to return immediately and begin preparing breakfast.
Certainly.
Natsui-ne-san, we don't know for sure that they're outside, do we? Couldn't they also be inside Father's study? I see, that's certainly possible. I don't know what path the conversation took, but there's certainly a chance they moved to Father's study and let him in on the discussion.
I can't imagine that Father would willingly let them bring such a detestable topic into his study.
You really think so? Well then, there's nothing we can do. I'm sorry, Genji-san and Kannon-kun, but could you search outside? It wouldn't be that strange for Nissan to suggest they go outside for a walk to cool their heads, even in this weather. I'll go to Father's study. Who knows, they might actually be there after all.
Eva-san, I couldn't ask a guest like you to exert herself, so I will go. I can also wish him a good morning while I'm at it.
Oh, then I'll leave it in your hands. Though I somehow doubt he'll return your greeting. Natsui-ne-san, have you always been on such good terms with Father?
I don't know whether you could call it that, but I am sure that I have gained his trust as the wife of the successor to the Ushiriya family.
Then I'm sure he'll at least answer you, right? I'd like to at least have breakfast with Father. Do you think you could convince him to come down and join us? It seems that he thoroughly despises the rest of us, but I'm sure he'll listen to you if he trusts you that much. After speaking so boldly, if you're unable to convince Father and come down alone, then I doubt you'll ever be able to claim that you've earned his trust again.
I am not confident, but I will try. You uppity bitch.
Natsui responded, looking discouraged. However, knowing Kinzo's temperament, she had absolutely no confidence in her ability to bring him out. Eva was clearly mocking her, confident that Natsui wouldn't be able to get Kinzo to come down. But even so, Natsui would lose face if she gave up, saying it was impossible and letting Eva go instead. Eva's mean-spirited and unreasonable demand made Natsui clench her fists tightly. Oh, slightly, not tightly. When Genji realized this, he softly spoke to her over her shoulder.
Madam, please take this if you would. And this is...
Genji handed Natsui a sparkling gold key of ornate design. It was the key to Kinzo's study. The study had an auto lock and couldn't be unlocked as long as Kinzo forbade entrance. However, since Genji was especially trusted by Kinzo, he was allowed to carry a key to that door.
But if this key is used, won't you also receive the blame?
When the master is sleeping deeply, simply knocking on the door will not suffice. And it would be more difficult to persuade the master to leave his room if you must talk through the door. Please use this.
Genji.
Until now, Natsui had thought of Genji as a cold servant who wouldn't do anything for her, since he worked directly under Kinzo, but it looked like she would have to alter her understanding of him. She wanted to communicate her gratitude, but by then Genji had already turned his back on her and was walking down the corridor with Cannon. But as Natsui watched them go, the words directed at her from behind were sneering. Well then, you must bring Father with you, okay? After all, it's his son's precious wife who's asking. I'm sure he'll listen to you. We're guests, so we'll just relax here at our leisure. Quit it, Ava. You're taking this too far. Sorry, Natsui-san, but we're counting on you to deal with Father. Without answering, Natsui forcefully spun around on her heels and quickly left that place.
Should have left you on the doorstep where I bought you from. I'm sorry, but if it's clear by right now, I do not like her. I hope she gets taken next.
After all that excitement the previous night, there was no way anyone was going to wake up early. George, Nikki, Jessica, and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousin room. But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she was met with a loud snoring of the other three cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her, and she quickly got lonely.
Aww.
Maria left the cousin room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Paying no heed to the three who were sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, Battler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him up. After a while, Maria returned, once again opening the door with a lively bang. When she had left the room, her face had been sleepy, but now that she was back, she looked irritated. After that, she climbed up on Battler's bed, which happened to be the closest, and started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline.
Ooh! 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 Wake up! Ooh! Ooh! Ooh!
It's like my frickin' toddler in the morning. Wow, what? Is it an enemy raid? Surround them! After making sure I was awake, Maria moved over to George and Niki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the three of us were all greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening.
I like this song. I like this music. It's so happy. Considering the fact that there are 5 people missing / dead right now. Thanks for picking us up, Maria-chan. You stopped us from sleeping in after that late night. If only you could have been a bit more gentle about it.
George Nissan, you really are an adult. I respect that. It'll be 7 o'clock soon. Well, it's not really a bad time to wake up.
Oh no, don't you do that!
That was a fake one.
Oh no, eat her well! There we go.
Mama's not here. Ooh! Ooh! Ooh!
On Rosa? She wasn't in her room? I wonder where she's already woken up and gone to the mansion.
Not here! Ooh! 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 Mama! Ooh!
Maria kept groaning, ooh, and looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't where she'd expected.
I understand that hardcore.
If we could just tell her where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. But that's kids for ya. Just knowing where their parent is, it makes them feel safe. But unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here. Anyway, it's time for breakfast, so let's head over to the mansion. That's right. Maria, let's go to the mansion together, okay? I'm sure Aunt Rosa will be there too.
Mama's in the mansion? Then I'll go there. Ooh.
Yeah, guess we should go to the mansion. Our parents have probably already gone there.
Maria regained her usual composure so completely her earlier tantrum now seemed like a lie. We got dressed, left the room, and headed for the mansion.
Get inside, children. It's dangerous out here.
Once Once more, there was a knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer.
He seemed to be sleeping still, and I could not wake him.
If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Ava would probably be amused and triumphant. And even putting Ava aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once-a-year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Even the family head, no, especially the family head, couldn't fail to make an appearance.
I wonder if I can convince him myself.
Natsui readied herself and used the key that she'd borrowed from Genji to open the door.
Dead body, dead body, dead body!
Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench, which seemed to eat into one's brain as it poured out the small crack in the door, she couldn't help but grimace. Thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsui entered the room quietly.
Oh no, insane man's awake.
When she did, Kinzo was already awake and looking down out of the window.
So you're awake. Good morning.
How did you get in?
Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh but calm, and Natsui was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't have ignored all that knocking if he was in a good mood. Natsui wasn't able to relax.
My sincere apologies. I asked Genji-san and he allowed me to borrow the key to the study.
Genji did. If my friend thought it was important, then I have no choice but to listen. So, what business do you have with me?
Well, breakfast will be ready soon, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would join us.
I will eat here. Have it brought here like always.
But Father, this family conference happens only once a year. Please let them see your face.
Go back downstairs. Are you asking me to join in as they discuss how to chew up my inheritance after I die? How foolish. Let them speak of such matters as much as they please without me. And if that's what you call a family conference, it's hardly worth leaving my room for it. I am busy. Do not bother me.
His last words carried the threat that any further questions would not be appreciated. Natsui realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her.
Do the smart thing and walk away!
She didn't look forward to facing Ava's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsui could do.
Is that so? Understood. I'm sure everyone will be sorry to hear it, but I will tell them.
Natsui decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up. As she did, Kinzo spoke to her.
Oh god.
His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came from an entirely different person.
Natsui, it has been quite some time since you married into the Ushiromiya family.
Yes. It has been many years since I was first permitted to bear the name Ushiromiya.
Do you sometimes long for your previous family?
No. Marriage means abandoning your birth family.
Excuse. No. I do not believe that concept. I don't care how old this game is. Anybody who else believes that concept, unless they came from a bad family or an abusive family, then I don't believe that at all. I refuse to believe that. I put my foot down on that. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi. The Ushiromiya family is the only family I can come home to. The only one I'm fond of.
They're like for regular people, no, it's not. But with like, I think it's just because their family is such prestigious that
It's like it's like moving on up, basically.
yes, it is moving on up. It really is. She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Ushiromiya family name to herself.
Sorry. The reactions that she has. They express me greatly. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Ushiromiya, leaving her to race about in vain.
If Krauss were a woman, and you his husband. No, I won't say that.
What do you mean by that, Father?
Natsui was shocked. If Kinzo's words just now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all she'd suffered up to that point.
Forget it. It's just the nonsense of an old man. Ah, so he has some sanity in him for once.
Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsui couldn't help feeling a warmth at her heart.
Aw, Father. Even though I, Natsuhi, am not connected to you by blood, I am still your daughter. I will most assuredly see to it that your honor and glory and everything you have left behind are protected.
You do not have the right to wear the one-winged eagle. However, the one-winged eagle is surely ingrained in your heart. That is irrefutable proof that you are my blood relative, the one who will inherit the glory of the Ushiromiya family. Some will sneer that there is no eagle on your clothes, but such words are not worth lending an ear to. Only those who hold the eagle in their hearts are my true blood relatives. I now consider it an honor that you are welcomed into the Ushiromiya family.
Without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsui. However, Natsui couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her that she hadn't felt since long ago, when she had just been a child. Or when she had been just a child, whatever. Natsui bowed silently to his back and left the room.
That's called pride, honey. Excuse me a minute.
Ah, good timing. How is father? You were taking so long, so I came to check. When Natsui left the study, she saw Ava climbing the stairs and their eyes met. Ava was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsui would leave grudgingly after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsui was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing, but she was permitted to wear it in her heart. So she spoke calmly, clearly, and confidently, with the dignity of the one who would protect the Ushiromiya family's glory.
Father said he would not join in on the family conference. He says he has no interest in discussing such obscene matters.
I figured you'd say something like that. If you failed to persuade father, just say so.
How pitiful. I'm beginning to see why father lamented so.
What do you mean by that? Natsui did not answer. Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she showed Ava her back as she headed down the stairs. Ava finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsui's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue and make a motion as though scratching at it, follow after Natsui.
What would
So,
like just
I don't know. I think that must be a translation thing. I don't know.
just slapping at it, throwing the middle finger at it? What?
I don't know. So were Nissan and the rest there? Did you ask Father about them?
I didn't get the chance to ask, but they were not inside the study. Father would never let them into a room to discuss such a lowly topic, so it's unlikely he knows where they went. Let us go downstairs and wait for the servants to return from their search. Breakfast may be late, but how would you like some tea, ladies?
That would be fine. Eva couldn't hide her confusion at the complete difference in Natsumi's attitude. She was acting so boldly, and while Eva hated to admit it, she even had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Eva could only follow Natsui back to the parlor.
I want to hug Natsuhi-san now. She must be protected.
She's a good
We have
girl.
found the second one to be protected.
When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by the 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsui had returned.
Oh no. Hold on a second. Okay, there.
You still have not found my husband and the rest?
Yes, my apologies. Also, Kumasawa-san has started preparing breakfast. She said that she will need just a little longer.
The clock read a little past 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock should have been the time to start breakfast. Normally, going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host.
Ken is now searching outside. Also, no one has seen Shannon either. Hold on a minute. Here. That's 5 people. That's 5 people missing, ladies and gentlemen. we're one away. We've got like 5 pieces. We're just one more piece away.
Even Shannon's missing? Truly, just how many people did my husband bring with him on his little walk?
Just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was this large, it was starting to feel truly unpleasant, as though the people here were the only ones being left out of something interesting. At least, that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach grumbling, almost as though her mother and the others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her.
Aww.
The other children were flipping through the channels on the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Yes, distract her with TV.
Just turn on Clifford and everything will be. Wait, no, not Clifford. The new Clifford sucks. Just turn on Sesame Street and everything will be fine.
And New Clifford doesn't suck. Cal loves the theme song. He gets super excited and happy when it comes on. Nanjo was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. It must have been a book about chess. The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one set, so they realized before seeing who it belonged to that it was probably Cannon, not Krauss and the rest.
Madam, excuse me. Judging by your appearance, you still haven't been able to find them.
My apologies. I still haven't.
That will be enough. You've worked hard.
She didn't know where they were, but they had to be somewhere on this island. They hadn't had a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling about now. They'd probably come plodding back of their own accord before long. By now, Natsui was thoroughly exasperated. It started to feel that there was no reason for them to go out of their way in search.
Oh, God. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark.
I will go.
No, wait, nope. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests.
I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests. I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all of the guests
Nope.
You were
I
right.
was wrong. Oh.
Thanks to both of you for all of your hard work so early in the morning.
Natsui left the parlor, acting as though the release of tension had caused a new surge in her headache. Kennen tried to call to her back, but Natsui left swiftly.
What is it? Was there something else?
Yes.
I was unable to find her husband or anyone else, but, well, he was able to find Gohda!
Kennen sounded evasive. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but had spotted something that might be connected to their disappearance. Eva and Hideyoshi noticed this exchange of words that came over. They'd probably picked up on something strange in Kennen's behavior.
You nosy bodies!
What's going on, Kennen-kun? Did you find Krauss-san and everyone else?
Actually, the Rose Garden storehouse looked strange. What do you mean, it looks strange?
It was, how should I explain it?
Kennen hesitated once more. His tone wasn't at all what you'd expect from this usually fearless boy. Seeing this, Eva and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously. What do you mean? Are you saying Nissan and the others were inside the storehouse?
No. I'm going to inspect it inside now. I just now came back to get the key, but...
I don't really get it, but it sounds like we've just got to look around inside it.
Don't go in there!
Where's the key to that storehouse?
It is in the servant room. Let us check inside the storehouse at once.
Kennen dashed off to the servant room and returned with the key. Genji left the parlor saying that he would go check, but then Eva and Hideyoshi followed after him. What was this something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Kennen to hesitate? It was still pouring outside, but perhaps their curiosity over this something that Kennen couldn't talk about won out. While the children made a big fuss watching television, Kennen and the rest dashed over to the entrance.
Dead body! Dead body! Dead body!
The Rose Garden storehouse was a place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of its appearance, it had been built so that it was hidden in a corner of the Rose Garden. Kennen, Genji, Eva, and Hideyoshi came cutting across the Rose Garden holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits for those appreciating the garden and only used by those maintaining it. As they dashed down that, the storehouse came into view in front of them. It was quite an old shed, and compared to the flawlessly perfect beauty of the Rose Garden, it was pretty seedy looking. It was easy to understand why it had been built in a hard-to-see place. Eva and Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Kennen and Genji. You two sure are fast. I thought my heart was gonna explode. I never knew they had a storehouse way over here. But, what is that? When Eva looked where Kennen was pointing, she was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Kennen's finger and was likewise too shocked to speak. The entrance to the storehouse was a kind of shutter, and there, everyone suddenly realized why Kennen had been unable to find words to describe what they now saw. On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it, there was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid.
Blood!
Mucus?
Blood!
Or maybe it was some sticky paint. An indescribably eerie shape was drawn on the shutter with some kind of ghastly substance. The rain had caused it to drip down like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. No more beating around the bush. Some kind of mark was drawn there, with a ghastly substance that looked like blood,
Not looked like!
in a shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. 2 circles were drawn there, and inside them was a design that looked like a cross. The four ends of the cross were widely exaggerated, and it looked like some kind of crest from somewhere around Europe. And in the cracks between these shapes, written closely packed together, were some unfamiliar characters or possibly symbols. What a vulgar bit of graffiti! Could this be one of those? One of those magic circles used in demonic ceremonies? It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape, drawn with a deep red dripping substance. When was this made?
There was nothing drawn here when we came by yesterday before it started raining. We must do something before anyone else sees them. They laid eyes upon it and it caused them great discomfort.
That's right. Even though it's just a shed, I wouldn't want to leave such an unpleasant piece of graffiti alone for even a second longer than I had to.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Rox. Every time something creepy is about to happen, I'm going to keep chanting either dead body, or blood, 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 because I'm just that creepy type of person. It's fun. It's fun seeing someone else play the horror games for once. I mean, I'll still get scared, but yes.
That's why I play it, so you don't have to.
Something's about to happen and it's gonna be great. It's okay, GLaDOS. We're all here. It's okay, GK. We're all here. We can all get spooked together. There is some paint inside the storehouse. Let us paint over it temporarily as an emergency measure. Then repaint it again someday when the weather is good. So, word to the wise, paint over a scary spell or demonic circle with paint. It's gonna end badly for everybody. It's like trying to cover up graffiti. It's just gonna be repainted over.
Genji remembered that he had just recently seen another scribble and that it too had been made with the strange dark red substance of the same color as this. That must have been... That's right, he had seen it on the door to Natsumi's room.
Gah!
Canon-kun, let's remove this scribble quickly and go back, okay? Even though it's just a storehouse, it's really irritating to have graffiti around the home I was brought up in.
Yes, ma'am. I will take care of it immediately.
Cannon squatted in front of the shutter and unlocked it. He then lifted it up with all of his strength. A boisterous noise sound resounded, and the eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get sucked in through the top as the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, that ominous drawing disappeared from the direct gaze, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to a kids program they came across, Maria was feeling much better. Mallory and Jessica were poking fun at the kids' show at every turn, cackling together. George was enjoying the program with Maria from her perspective. Nanjo sat on a sofa by himself, passing the time by reading quietly. They heard hurried footsteps coming from the hallway.
That's the door.
They were the footsteps of a single person. Did that mean it wasn't the group of four that had just left? It was Genji. It was very rare for Genji, who considered being out of breath a violation of a servant's virtues, to be gasping for air. He had probably come dashing back from outside the mansion. His shoulders were soaking wet and he didn't have his usual trim appearance. When Genji noticed Nanjo looking at him, he gave a small silent bow and quickly approached him.
Dr. Nanjo, my apologies. Please come with me. Quickly.
What is the matter? As Genji whispered something into Nanjo's ear, Nanjo went pale. He rose from the sofa, trying not to be noticed by the children who were still engrossed by the TV, and the two of them rapidly left the parlor, muffling their footsteps. Just as they were about to exit the parlor, they came across Natsui, who was pushing a serving cart loaded with the tea set. Genji whispered something into Natsui's ear, and Natsui went pale too in apparent shock. Then, leaving the serving cart where it was, the three of them dashed towards the entrance. George noticed them running down the rose garden through the window.
What's that? Isn't that Genji-san the doctor and Naja-san and that's Aunt Natsu, isn't it?
What's up, Aniki?
Maybe something happened. They look terribly flustered.
When Jessica and Maria saw that Ava, Hideyoshi, and Nanja were no longer in their seats and that the serving cart had been abandoned in the entrance to the parlor, they also realized that something was the matter. Could there have been some kind of accident? Let's go check it out. It's so fun if we're the only ones left out, right?
No, children, don't go. Don't go, children. You don't want to see this, kids.
For some reason, what Battler said sounded extremely indiscreet, but they couldn't deny that they were a little insecure and concerned after seeing the adults run off into the rain without regards to their appearance. Let's check it out, okay? I'm worried something might have happened.
Children.
Jessica's uneasy words spoke for all of them. Hey, Maria, are you coming too? Or
Don't
will you watch
bring
TV?
Maria! Don't bring Maria! You're gonna scar this poor child. No! I agree with GK. Oh no!
Wanna watch TV?
Let's go on without her. Maria-chan will be back soon. You keep watching TV, okay?
Yeah.
Thank God.
By the time the kids made it outside, the adults were no longer in sight, but Jessica seemed to have a pretty good idea where they'd gone, judging by the direction they'd been running. Following Jessica, we ran through the rain-soaked Rosa garden. The wind seemed to suddenly get stronger. The malicious sound of thunder began to rumble like it had the previous night. It felt like an eerie something had surrounded the island and was trying to stop us from moving forward.
That's called common sense, kids!
Jessica, is there something over this way? I'm pretty sure there's a shed for gardening tools or something.
What in the world could have been going on in a place like that?
Just as Jessica had said, they began to see a storehouse in front of them. They could also see the adults there. The shutter to the storehouse was open, and several adults looked as though they were searching for something. For some reason, only Natsui was outside the storehouse. Without even holding an umbrella, she looked like she was hanging her head, and her back was facing them. There was Genji, Nanjo, and Natsui, who had just left the mansion. The ones who'd left earlier, Shannon, Ava, and Hideyoshi, were also there, making for a small crowd of people, but there was absolutely no bustle of activity. When Natsui realized that the children were approaching, a terrible expression rose to her face, and she ran at them with her arms spread wide.
You mustn't come any closer! Go back to the mansion!
But despite that, no, because of that, the kids saw the scene Natsui was trying to keep them away from. Inside the storehouse with its shutter wide open, a faint fluorescent light shone down. And right there was... Okay, well, Kit did the scream for me, so... Jessica's piercing shriek rang out. But that was just because Jessica's scream was the loudest. The same thing spilled out of Battler and George's mouths as well. Ava spread her arms just like Natsui, roaring at the kids with a bone-chilling expression on her face. George, take everyone and return to the mansion! Quickly! Right now! When Natsui spread her arms, I thought she was trying to prevent us from advancing any further. But that wasn't why Ava was spreading her arms right now. She was trying to stop us kids from seeing that terrible scene. It was her mother's heart, trying to protect the eyes and hearts of us children by blocking our view of that terrible scene by at least the width of one of her arms. Is this some kind of joke? Is it? I've seen this kind of cheap scene all too often. In manga, TV, anime, and movies, I've seen it over and over again. This was just seeing something appear in real life that I'd seen plenty of times before in some of those more sensational movies, right? That alone shouldn't... but that suit. It's that old bastard's, isn't it? I get it. Then that's Uncle Krauss. And Kyrie-san. And Aunt Rosa. Ah! Dad! Dad!
You mustn't, Jessica. You mustn't go in. You mustn't look.
Dad! Dad! Ah! Rigor mortis has set in across almost the entire body. Most likely, 6 hours or more have passed since death. As far as I can tell by looking at the damaged area, there's a high probability that they were damaged after their deaths. No, I must watch what I say. I'm a general practitioner. Examining corpses outside my area of expertise. So, what's going on here? Just killing them wasn't enough? So they went on to do something like this? The devil! This here's the work of the devil! Aunt Natsumi caught Jessica in her arms and Aunt Ava caught George and Nikki, so I was the only one who could approach the entrance to the storehouse. If only there had been someone there to catch me too. I wouldn't have needed to have this horrible evil scene burned into my eyes. No, that's not it. It isn't that there's no one here to catch me. The people who should catch me, they're right there, aren't they? Just as Jessica said, it did look like a storehouse for gardening tools. A lawnmower with extra blades, a grass sickle and a hammer, some carpentry tools such as a saw, piled up potted plants and bags of fertilizer, and treated just the same. The corpses of several people had been laid to rest there. No, had been tossed in there. I could tell them by their clothes. That old bastard and Kyrie-san, Uncle Krauss and Aunt Rosa. Beyond that, Gohda-san and... Are there still more of them? How many people died?
Oh God, not Shannon!
You're fucking kidding me! That's more than
Shannon
I can count
got
on one
killed!
hand! Damn it! I didn't know whether it had been one of these gardening tools, which if used for something other than their intended purpose could definitely be wielded with a naked brutality,
Not Shannon!
or whether some horrible tool had been brought in here specifically for this. Anyway, each one of the bodies jammed in here had been given an atrocious makeup. It wasn't makeup, it was more like their faces had been plowed. Their faces were smashed, forced into expressions like normal people couldn't even make even after death. I couldn't tell where the eyes or the noses were, but I could find their mouths, because they were gaping wide, their gums exposed. But their front teeth were missing, and even the cheeks that should have covered all this were all torn up and laid bare. That trendy makeup you always spend so much time on, even though you're a man, isn't doing a thing now. Ah! Dad! I always thought you were going to hell. But still, not like this, right? You weren't such a son of a bitch that you should have to suffer so brutally. And Kyrie-san, didn't I tell you to stop going out with this guy? There's absolutely no reason for you to end up like this too. They've got no faces, no faces. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, ah!
Alright, this music is banging though, but the reaction. Oh God, the reactions are torn between like, oh God, dead body.
Their son, you mustn't look anymore. There's no way your mother and father would want you to see them like this. For their sakes, you mustn't look anymore. Dead people are supposed to have faces that look like they're sleeping peacefully, right? They've got no faces. My dad and Kyrie-san have no faces. I don't even know what kind of faces they were wearing when they died. What's wrong with me? Will I have to see these smashed monster-like faces every time I remember them? That's just great. I didn't want to remember that old bastard smug face anyway. Just great, just great. But why even Kyrie-san's face? Kyrie-san wasn't a crook. Sure, she ticked me off a bit now and then, but she was like a cool big sister to me. This is wrong. This is all wrong. At least Uncle Krauss has it better, doesn't he? It's not his whole face, just the side. At least he's got half his face left, right? That's still better, that's still better. No! Jessica filled her ears with the sound of her own screaming. I don't want to wake up the neighbors and Cal, so I'm trying to shut up my
Hang on, I got it.
Okay. Thank you. Jessica filled her ears with the sound of her own screaming, trying to shut out my reckless words. Stop it, Atlacoon. Just stop it. Oh no, that's Jessica, I think. Stop it, Atlacoon. Just stop it. Just stop it. Aniki. Disregarding age and appearance, I fell to my knees, clinging to Aniki's waist and sobbing. It was as if I was crying on behalf of everyone there. Representing the feelings of everyone there, I screamed over and over.
I still don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about any of this at all.
Oh, you're about to.
I know. That's gonna come up a little bit later. Father. The ones lying over there are Uncle Krauss, Uncle Rudolf, Aunt Kyrie, and Aunt Rosa and Gohda-san. Just those 5, right?
No. There are 6 people. There's one more person over here. The body Hideyoshi was looking down on now happened to be hidden among the shadows in that mountain range of objects, in a blind spot to George, who stood by the entrance. So George couldn't tell whose body it was.
Everyone get out your tissues.
So,
Get
dude,
out
no,
every...
I've been holding the tears back this whole time, so you're welcome.
Get out your tissues, get out your water bottles, get out every piece of comforting plush you have, and get out your blankets. This is the angst. I haven't even played this game before, but I can tell this is the angst. I'm sorry. This is going to happen. Prepare yourselves, my friends. Get every comfy thing that you have on hand tight, because we're going into angst territory.
I mean, if you
don't know why.
I mean, if you don't have all the comfy things with you already, I don't know why you're watching this. So...
This was not made to be comfy. This was not made to be happy until later. I'm sat on my washer already dying. Aww.
So George cursed himself. He cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right.
So, the one lying at your feet is Shannon, isn't it?
Yes. It's Shannon Chan. George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling. Normally, he would have wanted to run to his beloved's body, screaming and crying. However, before rashly... Oh god, the tears are coming, goddamn. However, before rashly rushing forward, he worked to keep his composure and asked his father.
Is Shannon the same as Uncle Krauss and the others?
Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, so he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Or rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse was in the same condition as the others or not. Since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, it meant her corpse was in the same brutal state.
Can I look at Shannon?
No, you can't.
Why not? After all, I won't be able to see Shannon's face again, right?
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I'm not crying. You're crying. That's the onion cutting ninjas have invaded my space. So why won't you let me see? Look like at the end.
The last time you met Shannon Chan was yesterday, right?
Yes.
I see. When you left her, what kind of face was she showing you?
It was a wonderful smile.
After he handed her the ring, she hesitated, even though she must have already made up her mind. Then she looked bashful and ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see her face looking like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind. I see. And I'm sure Shannon Chan would want to leave you with that smile in your memory. Hideyoshi looked down upon Shannon's body lying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, it was in such a horrible state that it'd make anyone want to cover their eyes. Her head had been smashed in from the side, and no more than half of her expression remained. If the remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean, would that graceful smile of hers have peeked out? But only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. If her face was going to be crushed anyway, then if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from his pain by making the pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. Half of her face had been left untouched. It caused the body so much humiliation, while still proving beyond doubt that the body was Shannon's and no one else's. How inhuman. How brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression into his eyes as she lay at Hideyoshi's feet, was Cannon. Cannon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. But that didn't mean he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with him in the same orphanage, whom he had loved as his sister, must have been just the same as losing a blood relative. George, I'm sure Shannon Chan is saying thank you. She must be glad you didn't end up seeing her in such a pitiful state. I'm sure she's thanking you for holding strong and showing restraint.
I understand. I understand, Father. I understand.
George leaned against the outside wall of the storehouse, crouching down limply.
Father, I have a request.
What is it?
I want you to look for me. Is there? I know, right? The only thing I'm wondering right now, I'm wondering right now, is she wearing the ring? Is she wearing the ring? That is the only question that I want answered right now. Is there a ring on Shannon's finger?
A ring? Let me see. Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Cannon silently pointed to one of Shannon's hands. Yeah, there is. It's a diamond ring. With a valuable diamond. Must have been pretty expensive. And... oh, sorry.
Okay. And which hand? And which finger is it on?
The ring finger of her left hand.
Oh God!
I see. So Shannon Chan was engaged?
Oh God!
George, don't tell me you...
Shut the
Ava!
fuck up!
That doesn't matter now. A man made a lifelong promise to Shannon Chan. A man promised her happiness for life. Who that man was isn't the issue here. Being told that by a man is a woman's dream, isn't it? I don't know when she received this ring. I also don't know who gave it to her. However, even so, Shannon took this ring. Then she accepted it and put it on her left ring finger. I'm sure the man who gave it to her was also happy. To most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by this extraordinary situation and was blurting out nonsense. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship would understand the full meaning of those words.
I see. Thank you, Father.
George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, but his expression had turned to its usual calm one.
Let's go. Butler-kun, Jessica-chan. If we stay here any longer, we'll get in the way of the adults.
You're right. Jessica sniffled once, showing her face to her mother, who had been holding her the whole time to let her know she was okay now. When she faced George again, she once again had on her usual expression, although she still couldn't smile. Battler, ain't in there. Battler kept on crouching in front of his parents' bodies. I'm sorry. Crying like hell calmed me down. Bastard, Dad. Bet you're laughing at me. After all that shit I talked about you, here I am crying like a baby just because you died. Well, so what? I guess I just got the gene that makes you cry when your parents kick the bucket. Battler's face was still bright red from the tears, but he had at least recovered enough to fake a smile, if only a bitter one.
Cannon, you mustn't remain here any longer either. Take the children and return to the mansion.
Natsu had been standing under the rain this whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving, different from Battler's. Realizing that she had to take on a role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, she gave Cannon those orders.
Yes, madam.
Cannon rose silently and turned to face me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon, and there was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, if he had been told to guide the children through the beautiful rose garden, Cannon might have led the way. Excuse me. But now there was no distinction between Cannon and the children. They were now just kids of about the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure that the children were leaving, Natsumi started giving orders to Genji.
Genji, contact the police immediately. They probably won't be able to come until the typhoon passes, but they should be able to tell us what to do next.
Understood. There is an emergency radio, so I will use that to contact them.
When she heard that, Natsumi remembered. That's right, the phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island. At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait.
Dr. Nanjo, is there anything more you can do here?
Unfortunately, there is nothing I can do.
Understood. Genji, could you at least cover their faces with something? Exposing them like this is humiliating to them as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Genji picked up several dried-up towels from inside the storehouse, when Ava stopped him with a shrill voice. Wait a second! Stop! This is the scene of the crime, isn't it? Then we mustn't disturb it. We all panicked and walked in here with our shoes on, but even that will surely get in the way of the police's investigation, right? She's absolutely right, 100% right.
Unfortunately, god damn it! Okay. I don't like that at all.
Natsui glared at Ava, offended. Objectively speaking, Ava was right. Even so, she glared at Ava as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses which had been humiliated even after death, the simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Ava had spoken both calmly and correctly. This horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone had killed them. It was a murder case. So they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the site any further. They had to do what little they could to aid the police, preserving clues that might help catch the detestable culprit. I agree with Ava-san. Until the police come, we should leave everything be.
What do you say, madam? You are right. Very well. Close it up. And, just in case, we should put a different lock on it.
Sorry, that was my bad.
You're right.
A different lock?
Yes. When we came here, the shutter was locked. That means the culprit used the key to the shutter to lock it.
That makes sense. So, does that mean the key that opens the shutter will have the culprit's fingerprints on it? I'm sure it'll be worth submitting it to the police as evidence, but Cannon-kun usually has it, and he used it to unlock the shed just now. It'll probably have Cannon's fingerprints on it. Also, that key was handed to Genji-san just now, and he took it with his bare hands. It doesn't look like it'll be very useful as evidence.
Yeah, they're right, and plus fingerprint fingerprint is not really dependable if the item is handed over, because you don't really know who used it and at what time, so that's pretty it's not dependable in terms of crime scene investigation. Not even footprints are dependable.
They can be, though.
They can be if it's in a smaller group, but this is
Yeah,
this
if
is
it's just like a solo thing, like with Night Stalker Richard Ramirez. That's how they tracked him down, was because of his shoe print.
but because it's 6 people died in a in 6 people died and were put in a shed, and only one key can get in there. He found the key, so somebody probably could have taken the key with gloves.
The key was in the servant's room.
Yeah, but somebody could have taken the key and had gloves on, removing fingerprints from that. And now it has Cannon-kun's and Genji-san's fingerprints on it, so they would be falsely accused. But anyway, we're not really talking about that. We know who done it. That was careless of me. My apologies.
Genji-san, are there any other keys to this storehouse?
No. Only this one.
So the culprit walked out of the servant room with that key, and then was nice enough to return the key to where they found it? Hideyoshi's theory sounded plausible, but that was actually very strange if you thought about it. Why would they go to all the trouble of returning a key they stole? No, if you think about it even more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. When a criminal hides a body, they're usually trying to delay the point at which it'll be found, so they can use that time to escape. The 6 weren't necessarily killed here, but it was reasonable to assume that they were killed somewhere on this island, carried to the storehouse, and hidden to delay the discovery of the crime. And yet, the area magic circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated the location of the hidden corpses. Sure, it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but 6 people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had made such an obvious piece of graffiti and even returned the key to the shutter, almost as though they wanted the corpses here to be discovered.
Anyway, we can't put all our faith in a lock that the culprit has opened once before. If we want to protect this place from the culprit's hand, I think we should put a new lock on it.
I think that is a good plan. I agree. Genji fished around inside the storehouse and unsealed a brand new padlock that had been inside a small box.
What should I do with the key?
I will take it. I will take responsibility and hand it over to the police.
Natsui took the key to the padlock from Genji's hand. After that, they all exited and lowered the shutter. And so, the corpses were once again sealed behind that shutter, which was still covered with that creepy magic circle. Genji crouched out in front of the shutter to fasten the new padlock. Shutters often have a place up front where you can attach your own lock, in addition to the main lock of the shutter. This was one of those types.
You know the one, the garage door types.
Yeah, in the midst of the roar of thunder and the pouring rain, the storehouse stood there ominously. With its closed shutter still covered in a blood-like creepy substance, it swallowed up the bodies of the 6. To Natsuhi, putting the new lock on wasn't mainly to preserve the scene for the police. She might have felt like she wanted to shut that mouth for all eternity, to prevent that eerie beast from swallowing up any more victims.
Come on. Let's go, everyone. Dr. Nanjo, thank you very much for your work. Genji, hurry and contact the police.
I will do so as soon as I return.
The adults left the storehouse. A ghastly magic circle drawn on the shutter kept the 6 bodies in its throat, looming eerily as the lightning occasionally lit it up.
T.
That
T. I know that you wanted to have justice for Shannon, but T. Well, I guess that's kind of fair. Well, that's the end of this chapter. We have
Oh,
6 bodies
no!
now. We have 6 bodies as was dictated by the epitaph. So that means we have the 6 characters we need to figure out where this hidden gold is still laid, because that's still what we have to think about too.
Okay, so my first have spoilers, which I just on my own. Please, okay, so that's fine, but everybody else, please avoid spoilers. Please, I am begging you. I am begging you. You look up spoilers, the story will be ruined for you. It is like imperative that, yeah, it just does
So-
not have the same impact if you look into it. So please, pretty please do not spoil it for yourself. I know it's tempting, but trust me, like.
So who do we have who's dead? Is Krauss?
Okay, yeah, so this is, okay, so what happens is every time someone dies, it'll be red on here in this chart, and then you get to see the injury here too. So, Shiromiya
Oh
Krauss.
God! Wait, really?
Mhm.
Oh
Shiromiya
God!
Krauss. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems the side of his head was smashed after his death. This is the beginning of everything. Shiromiya Rudolf. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. His face seems to have been smashed after death. He has a right to lament his ill fortune. And he said he was probably going to die that night. By the way.
mean, yeah, he told that he.
Yeah.
Why did Kyrie have to die? Why did Kyrie, Rosa, and Shannon have to die? I get Krauss, Rudolf, and Gohda, but this, come on now.
Shiromiya Kyrie. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. Her face seems to have been smashed after her death. She was chosen by the Demon's Roulette. That's all there is to it. There's your
Aw.
answer.
Aww.
Shiromiya Rosa. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. Her face seems to have been smashed after her death. I'll get to see her again, so I don't feel lonely.
Oh God.
Servant Shannon. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. It seems the side of her head was smashed after her death. Don't worry, everyone will be revived in the Golden Land. Servant Gohda. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. His face seems to have been smashed after his death. How unfortunate. Apparently, he was originally supposed to be on duty in the guest house. Dumbass.
Originally.
So I wonder... Ooh, oh, that's
oh,
gruesome.
God.
Ah!
Oh, God. Oh, no. 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 Oh, no.
I was
Oh,
curious. I didn't know if the new one would be a little bit more.
oh, no. Oh, no. Ugh.
I'm avoiding spoilers like the plague
Oh,
or dead prairie
no.
dogs. Good.
Oh,
At
no.
least they didn't add the ring to Shannon's hand in the picture.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
did they? Oh no, you can't see her. Oh, hold on.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, I'm. Oh, she's covering up. You can't see because she's covering up her hand. And then her. Yeah, I can't really see
Good.
her fingers there.
Yeah, at least they didn't add the ring to Shannon hand in the pics. Yeah, that would have been even harsher. Oh no.
Yeah. Don't worry. Everyone will be revived in the Golden Land, kid. It's fine. It's
No,
fine.
no.
Everything's fine.
No.
Don't you
Oh no.
don't you believe in the
No.
witch?
I did. I believe in the witch, but right now I'm scared. I'm so
I'm sorry. I didn't.
fucking terrified. Like, oh no. Oh.
But yeah,
Oh.
so we're gonna stop here. You guys will have to wait a week. So there you go. So
Let me
that's your. So
let me
that's your.
sing you the song of my people. Let me sing you the song of my people. Hell no to the no, 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 hell no. Oh my god. That was so terrible.
So
Oh,
okay, so that's gonna be the first little riddle that you guys can mull over on top of the epitaph. Um,
who the
is
fucking hell killed these
how
people?
is with the key? The key to the storehouse. Like, did the culprit kill everybody first? Go and get it, and then drag them all out there and lock it up, or were they killed in there? Like, yeah. So
I
you
feel
guys
like they
can
were drawn
discuss it.
into there first. I feel like they were drawn into there first and then killed. But that's just me. T's got the right idea. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just take my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. All right then. I just happened, but I don't really care. For I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This was actually really fun. So yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube. So um,
We're
yeah.
gonna get so demonetized.
Oh, I'm not monetized anyways, so it's fine. It doesn't matter. Um, and even if I was, I probably wouldn't because the people that own the rights to the music have they always like it pops up like in their algorithm or whatever. So even if I were, I wouldn't be making money off this. So this is literally just purely for fun. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
go ahead and give a like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to join in the chat, go ahead and support me on Patreon at patreon.com.
Fun, Roxary says.
Yeah,
Fun.
yeah. Go ahead and it's the lowest tier. The lowest tier, it's only $2 a month, $2. You know, use the change, hit it in your couch. And you can become a member of the Discord and chat with all of us. It'll be fun. So, alright, you guys have a good night. Thank you for watching.
Yep, sorry for the
And,
nightmares, you guys.
yeah.
Just find the cuddliest plush and dream sweet dreams. On behalf of both of us, I am so sorry, but you knew what you were coming for when you came
Yeah.
here.
And happy Juneteenth. Well, it's not Juneteenth anymore, but it was, so.
Well, yeah, it was a happy Juneteenth.
Alright.
Good night, people.